Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Black Health and Wealth Show. I am your host, Kevin Boyette, and today we are honored to be with my good friend, Nikita NatureBoy Floyd, the president, owner, CEO of Green Forever Landscaping and Design, and also the host of Secrets in the Garden, which can be found on Fridays at 10:30 a.m. on WOL 1450 a.m. here in Washington, D.C. Thank you for coming and joining us.
My pleasure.
I'm glad to have you. And today we're going to be talking about organic farming. So, but before we get into the organic farming, I want to get into your name a little bit. Okay. So, it's NatureBoy.
Right.
So where does NatureBoy come from? Because there are some people who have issue with the quote unquote boy part. So can you explain where that comes from?
Well, one of my listeners also had mentioned that because she came from that era of boy being derogatory towards blacks, and which I do recognize that, but at the same time, I mean, we're in a different era, and I look at NatureBoy as the perfect name for me as my AKA or alias, because one, I love the environment. I love everything that exists in the environment. And so that's where the nature part. Now, as far as the boy part, well, it is like I have a childlike faith behind things of nature, because hey, most medicines come from plants. So I just believe in nature. So that is where the boy come from. So, and I don't look at it. This is a compound word, NatureBoy,
right?
Not hey boy,
right?
Like that. So I'm glad to define that for you. Make it a little clear.
And that want the viewers to understand so that they don't get all up in arms. Now, one of the things, now it's wintertime, so we're doing this indoors. We're not outside on the farm. But why do you farm?
Well, I farm for so many different reasons. One, there is a difference in growing your own vegetables. And I just happen to be blessed to live on a farm, and I have to do something with the land. Other than that, my taxes will be much higher. Okay. So why not grow all kinds of vegetables and fruits and things of that nature that I can just love. I mean, during the summertime, I love just going outside and just pulling a big watermelon off the vine, or grabbing a handful of cherry tomatoes before I jump in the truck or something like that, because the taste is much different for sure. So that's one of the primary reasons why I like to farm, because it's healthy, and I enjoy watching things grow, and also I get an education from it because I study plants. That's my primary business, to understand diseases and insects of plants. So it's an education, and it's fun and healthy, all in one bunch.
So doing the organic farming, how do you handle the insects and those other pests that come around if you're doing organic farming? Well,
I try to tell folks that organic farming doesn't mean that a plant is 100% free of pesticides. Sometimes it depends on what type of pesticide that you use. Of course, if you have a small garden, you can use organic pesticides like dishwater, soapy suds water. It suffocates the backs of the insects, because insects don't have lungs, but they breathe through their back. So when you spray the soapy suds water, it suffocates them and kill them. That's more of a contact type of poison. Now, the worst type of pesticide that you can probably use is something like a systemic type of pesticide. That's something that basically goes through the vascular system of the plant and makes it toxic when the bug chews into it. But at the same time, that same pesticide has gone into the plant as well. So what I try to do is use something that is that doesn't affect it dermally or systemically. I use more of a dust, a powdery dust in the very early stages. because I'm gonna tell you, a groundhog will wipe you out in one night. And when you maybe sprinkle these dusts on there, these dust products, the insects don't want to bite onto the leaf. And it's always best to throw the dust on it when the dew has fallen in the morning.
Okay.
So that way it will adhere to the leaf surface as well as your fruits or your vegetables. But when it rains, it'll wash it all off. So there's no harm done. But you still repel the insects or even other intruders like groundhogs or whatever. I mean, that only work for a short period of time.
Okay.
So that is the best way on how I deal with it. But I try to tell folks that when someone says something is organic, it is a component of growing something organic, because there's no way in the world you can see these beautiful, round, perfect tomatoes and oval cucumbers or whatever it is.
Apples, oranges.
Right, because the insects need to shop too. And they are looking for something to eat. So it's just no way in the world you can just stop them without putting something on it. You cannot have a perfect tomato. And I would challenge any farmer to say that they use a seed and put it in the ground and grew the tomato and did nothing to it, and the insects just ignored it because you said that it's going to be an organic plant. That's just not possible.
Okay. Now, is that also, now what if folks want to grow things in their inside? Is there...
Now, if you're growing something on the inside, you're not doing anything like from a large scale.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you have acre plus, you know, it's just too much to use soapy suds or garlic, ground up garlic, or soaked tobacco, because these are all organic type of pesticides,
right,
that you can use. But if you're in your home, you can easily squirt some soapy suds or some tobacco juice or garlic,
right,
or baking soda, because baking soda fights fungus.
Okay.
When it grows on the plant. So you can do that if you're doing container gardening on the indoors or something.
Okay, now back to the outside. Is there any particular reason why organic farming is better environmentally, you know, than the farming that's done with the systemic pesticides that you were talking about, or those genetically modified seeds?
Well, I mean, it is healthy to a degree, because all those things goes back into the soil. So it is a good thing that you try more organic farming, because I always tell folks, even when roses, you know, and apples, they are related. So
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Related how?
Genetically, roses and apples. You know how those big buds on a rose bush?
Yeah.
That is an apple. It's like a little cran apple.
Okay.
But it blooms out to become a flower. But they are related. But I only said that to say this. The petals, sometimes you get black spot and you get rust and things of that nature, those type of diseases. And when the leaves fall off of them and they hit the soil, I tell folks, you got to clean it up. Other than that, it's going to reinfect the plant the next year. So that's the same way with organic farming. If you put too much stuff onto your host plant or whatever, eventually that stuff gets in the soil and it will stay in the soil. But the good thing, the best way to deal with that is rotate your crops.
Right, because I know that a lot of times now there's a lot less rotation. People are doing the same crop in that same soil over and over again.
Yeah, if you do that, just like I plant corn onto the east side of the farm. Now, when I plant that Silver Queen, those corn earworms are waiting. They basically wait in the soil because they're going to get food the next year. So they're not moving. But now if you rotate it and maybe try some some green beans or something like that and put corn over in another area, you will help it. Also, as far as nutrients, corn takes up a lot of nutrients, but if you put green beans back in there, you'll be returning that nitrogen back to the soil after the harvest is over and you turn it back over into the soil. That nitrogen will go back into the soil.
So are there basic things that you recommend? I mean, we've mentioned tomatoes and you've talked about the green beans, but are there some basic plants, like if somebody's just starting out, you know, that they can do in their garden, in their yard?
Well, I always tell folks, plant what you like. Now, of course, it has to be within reason. You need to understand the area that you want to plant. I mean, you know, most things that you grow needs full sun. And of course, yeah, if you like oranges is not the thing. You're not going to grow any oranges here. You might have a plant, but as soon as it gets cold, it's going to die anyway.
Right.
So, so it has to be within reason. But you think about what you like first. Start your research that way, and then read about what you like, whether if it needs how much sunlight. You know, full sun is considered 4 to 6 hours. Partial sun would be 2 to 4 hours, and less than that would be considered as a shady area.
Okay.
So you have to determine it that way.
So
start with what you like.